Welcome back to the channel. In today's aviation news, there's some developments surrounding the Airbus A350 and a delayed entry into service with one company, Boeing putting a new prospective aircraft seemingly on the back burner, and Uganda Airlines is in the headlines for some good developments. Let's begin over at Airbus with the A350 freighter to be delayed a further 6 months for Air France-KLM following comments from the group's director. When speaking with The Telegraph, he said that the upcoming Airbus freighter was initially expected to enter service with the group in 2026. However, that will now be pushed back. The expectation is that the first jet will arrive in early 2027 and be deployed on Martinez's freighter division. These next-generation Airbus freighters that I speak of will replace the currently operational Boeing 747 jets, and what the A350 might lack in size in comparison to the 747, it does certainly make up for with regards to its high levels of efficiency. Remember, the Airbus A350F, even alongside the 777-8F, are truly the next era of your freighter aircraft and our first glimpse at a more efficient flying for freight operators. The delays do ultimately represent another, following Airbus outlining delays to the program itself in 2023. Aircraft manufacturers are continuing to battle supply chain difficulties with a hard time obtaining parts on time. We're also seeing the effects of the labour market. While there may be people available, not all are going to be qualified at a rate to build an aircraft or get everything in motion. There is a knock-on effect that is then felt to customers, whether it is freight or passengers or passenger companies. They will see delays in the deliveries of their new planes, and therefore, in this case, Martinez got to extend the life of existing jets. Maybe for another airline, they'll see significant financial impact. The A350F for Airbus, as I briefly touched on, is definitely a signal of intent from the plane maker, as it not only looks to steal market share away from Boeing in the sector, but obviously they want to compete with the 777-8F. Boeing's 777-8F is their also newly announced freighter based on the long-haul passenger aircraft, the 777X, which is yet to be certified. The 777-8F is expected to enter service later this decade, and yes, while competing with the A350F, will enter service at a later date, especially given so much uncertainty around the passenger variant of the 777X, which does remain the highest priority. The A350F is, yes, making good progress behind the scenes, continuing to work towards the building, first flight, and relevant certification, when then eventual delivery can occur. However, in a very similar fashion to existing frames, whether the A321XLR or even aircraft at Boeing, there are some hurdles that need to be overcome, and they typically have delays associated with them. Over to Boeing, and they're putting new projects such as their X-66A seemingly on the back burner as they manage continued difficulties with their current commercial airplanes division. The American plane maker confirmed past reporting from the likes of the Air Current and more that it must meet its commitments to customers who have experienced a delayed delivery of an uncertified aircraft type. Most notably, this focuses on the 737-7, 737-10, and in the company's wide-body portfolio, you have the entire 777X series. All these variants remain uncertified and have had many hefty associated delays impacting airline customers. Worse still, the time frame for certification is up in the air, no pun intended. And what does that mean? Airlines don't really know when to actually expect the aircraft. When you also factor in so many issues that are plaguing the plane maker, it becomes very difficult. But in response to these, Boeing is removing some of its engineers from projects such as the X-66A to get its other programs back on track. These steps deemed necessary as the company faces difficulties it needs to move past. So what is the X-66A? Well, the name, as it has been given, is a development study by Boeing and NASA to test transonic truss-braced wing designs on aircraft, or TTBW. The pair do hope that through these studies, they will be able to determine whether such a wing design could be plausible for implementation on future aircraft. So really consider the X-66A a glimpse potentially into the future. At least that's what Boeing and NASA want to be able to better understand. Aircraft manufacturers like Boeing always need to be be innovating and moving along in the future. While their current offerings are doing a good job for companies, they need to look ahead, and the X-66A is widely considered that future, with a hopeful first flight of a full-scale demonstrator in 2028. While it is unclear if such demonstrator will provide adequate results, given it is not actually airborne, this aircraft could easily form the next era of flight, if deemed so successful and better than what is currently provided. NASA and Boeing have already highlighted that the TTBW design could reduce fuel consumption and emissions by over 30% on current airframes. These benefits would not just be great for Boeing and their customers, but generally to meet all in all the sustainability goals that have been outlined. However, because of persistent issues impacting Boeing, engineers need to step away from this development to rectify the countless problems. Despite this, Boeing did state that NASA and the US Space Agency have offered additional resources out of fear of this program falling further behind if it was to be neglected. But the X-66A certainly remains the least of the concerns for Boeing. As airlines continue to order aircraft and production increases are barred, the plane maker is having a rough time working through this hefty backlog. Delays are ever increasing at the manufacturer, and they're harming airlines' finances and business planning. Furthermore, considering the severity of delays associated with uncertified aircraft, it does become a little bit of a bottomless pit. On to the last story, and Uganda Airlines is on the channel, as they have announced that they will be able to launch flights between Uganda and London after several high-profile and also very successful meetings. The airline really noted that it was able to secure slots into Heathrow of all the airports, thanks to the acquisition of the Airbus A330neo aircraft type in 2020 and 2021, with these wide-body jets allowing to fly longer-ranged flights within the business and giving them more capacity to facilitate these journeys. The service will be direct and originate from Entebbe, and hopefully I've pronounced that correctly, but I sincerely apologise if I haven't. The flight conclusion will be in London. In fact, Uganda's High Commission in London actually said that the national carrier in the last few weeks has been holding positive talks with UK aviation authorities over the acquisition of slots, but this development has been a long time in the making. They were continuing to assess the market, but they saw some pushback in the acquisition of the slots. This was because of the airline's certification status that needed updating, acting as basically the main roadblock. The demand between the two locations is certainly there, with close to 100,000 passengers flying the route before the pandemic annually. However, with no connection present, it could definitely be deemed as an underserved market in Africa from the UK. For London Heathrow, well, it adds another non-stop city to their portfolio that has become very diversified. Movements such as these are hugely positive, considering you have to remember the difficulties in obtaining slots into this highly congested airport. They are incredibly valuable and hard to come by. You need to come with not just the funds, but a reason to be able to launch such service that is going to be beneficial on all counts. That's going to conclude today's aviation news recap. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. It is sincerely appreciated. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you same place, same time tomorrow for your latest industry news. And we'll